Hi guys, so this video is going to be a bit about stimulant psychosis. Mainly methamphetamine, most potent stimulant there is, most biggest dopamine pusher there is, and my experience with it. So my experience started when I was injecting a bit before, but I was probably missing a lot. But then once I hit the vein right on the main vein in the right arm, and I went, whoa, that was a rush. So I had another one, and that was what sent me into overdrive. So after that, I started looking out windows. I wasn't aware that I was in psychosis at that point. I was looking out the windows, looking for cars, thinking someone was watching me. This went on into the early hours of the morning. Daytime turned up. At that point, I believed the cops were in the house, and I believed that they were I was downstairs, and I believed that they were putting something in the toilet to test that I hadn't flushed it or anything, like complete and utter psychotic mind. So yeah, I called my mum, said the cops are in the house, they're coming to get me. She said, they can't do that, and all the while I could see red and blue lights right at the end of the cul-de-sac, ready to come in and make their pants, and I saw the reflection on the TV, all visual psychotic imagery. And so I called my mum, she came rushing home, and I also thought that there was a car parked across from where we lived, with a guy in there and a camera. So she came home, I rushed outside and I checked that car. No one was in there, no camera, and it suddenly clicked in my head, I'm in psychosis. And that was when I realized I was in psychosis. That's a hard thing to do when you're in psychosis. But the more you get experienced with psychosis, the more it is easy to handle it and deal with it. You feed it and it makes it worse. So anyway, she comes home and I'm running out checking the car, and there's nothing in there, and she's like, what's wrong with you? And I said, oh, and she's like, are you using again? And I said, no, it's a joke, it was a joke. And she's like, still wary, but she went back to work, and the psychosis continued. I flushed what meth I had left, which I really regretted the next day, and I started to hear voices from across the street, believing they were cops, saying, stand still so I can apprehend you, put your arms up, and I kept doing that, and they said, you're moving too much, because I was twitching, keep your eyes closed. I couldn't keep my eyes closed, all in my head, and then they were laughing because I couldn't do it, because I believed that if you were in a psychotic episode, you had to be completely still for the police to apprehend you. That was what was going through my psychotic mind. So I did this for a while, yelling out, I can't do it, and I heard people, when I was trying to keep my eyes closed and standing right still in the living room, which had a window to the street where I believe the cops were across. I heard people coming up behind me, opening the back door with handcuffs, all in my mind, ready to get me. So the fear was building quite high at this point. My mum came back from work, and I got in the car, because I had a doctor's appointment anyway, and I got in the car, and I'm like looking around, I'm checking everything, and Mom's like, are you okay? She was almost laughing because it was quite a funny experience, like from her point of view, because she had no idea what was going on. And I said, look, Mom, I'm in psychosis. I'm in methamphetamine psychosis. And I went to the doctors, and I told him all my symptoms. I told him that the fear of the cops, and I thought they were outside the doctors, and he said, there's no police out there. This is all in your head. Calm me down a bit. He said, I suggest you go to hospital. I said, no, I can deal with this. I can, now that I know what it is, I'll be able to deal with it and get through it, which was wrong. I got home, and this was really hard on my mother, because I sat in the corner with my hands over my eyes, just in fear, and she filmed this, and it affected her very dearly, because I was more scared than an astronaut going into space. The fear inside me was so intense. I was so afraid that they were coming to get me. My mum was saying, I'm not going to let them get you. I'm not going to let them get you. This was the day before Anzac Day. And so I'm sitting there, I'm in complete fear, and yeah, I couldn't even drink alcohol to get it to calm down. I had no Valium or anything like that, so I'm sitting there in complete fear. I sat in my mum's room at the end of her bed, just locked the door, and like just sat there waiting, just in complete fear. Like my fear was in complete control. Eventually calmed down, and I got out of it about 3 a.m. So this whole experience lasted about 24 hours, and I got out of about 3 a.m. Next day was Anzac Day, and I didn't turn up. which was good because my mum said there were cops everywhere. And that was my first experience with psychosis. And over time, because I continued to use methamphetamine, because an addict can't get enough even with the psychosis, and the psychosis, once you get it, some people don't, but once you get it, it continues. And I've experienced watching out the window, sitting at the end of a room, dark room with the door locked, ready to eat the meth if someone comes in and gets me. Looking out windows, just being completely paranoid. I eventually learned to control it, and I was living with a mate who was using as well, and I came in and I said, I think there's someone after me, and he said, I really appreciate you for telling me that there isn't someone coming after you, but you think there is someone coming after you, which didn't prevent me from sitting on the stairs looking out the window the whole night waiting for the cops to make their move. But eventually, over time, I didn't feed it as much. I just accepted that it was part of the psychostimulant behaviour, and I got Valium at points, and Valium really works for those that psychosis. It works, and it's probably the most therapeutic thing you can do if you are using methamphetamine, especially intravenously. So and also the aggression associated with meth. I'm not an aggressive person, but sometimes me and my roommate, who was my partner in crime, we felt like we could kill each other over the most trivial things. Who had the most cut, who got the better cut, because I was doing the sales and the deals and he was driving. And eventually, so this has just been a brief talking of psychosis. And if you are experiencing psychosis, don't feed it, because feeding it makes it worse. Sort of recognize it, and it is hard, because the thing about psychosis is you don't know you're in psychosis, just as I explained at the beginning. But if you do experience and you do continue to use, just try and train your brain into like get some Valium, even alcohol helps, something like that. I've seen people in rooms rocking back and forth completely out of their minds on this substance, and it's quite scary to see, and everyone else in the room doesn't even bat an eye, because they're just like, this is part of the experience. And the greater the gasp after you inject methamphetamine, the more likely it is you are to get psychosis if you're prone to that. So I hope this video has been informative about psychosis, and I wish you guys the best of luck if you're still using methamphetamine, but try and get some help, because it will rob you of everything.